The only topic left to cover now is the causes or the factors that can cause a shift in the aggregate supply curve in the short run and in the long run, both in the classical and the Keynesian model. I have summarized all of the different factors into three simple categories, or if you can just keep these three things in mind, this should be a piece of cake topic for you. When it comes to the short run aggregate supply in the classical when it comes to the short-run aggregate supply in the classical model, just keep in mind that whenever there's an increase in cost of production, or this is also called as the supply side shocks, any increase in cost of production, is going to cause the short-run aggregate supply curve to shift towards the left. I listed down a few of them, but you can probably think about a lot others which are not included over here. Increase in wages. If the wages of individual rise, people will not have, or the companies will have to increase their prices. I've also have to write down over here prices. So prices in real terms. If wages of workers increase, companies or firms will have to pay more money to employees, and as a result they'll have to increase their prices. If the prices increase, again cost of production increases, because wages is a factor of production. Wages constitutes into labor. So if the cost of labor increases, the cost of production also increases. Increase in oil prices. Increase in oil prices can also be in the form of any other necessity like water. Increase in price of water, increase in price of electricity. That's what my spelling is correct. Increase in any necessity good, most commonly oil these days, will cause an increase in cost of production. Raw materials can also play a big factor, but raw materials is very subjective in the sense that, let's say that these days, because of global warming, we have more awareness, and as a result the cost of producing paper is increasing because cost of deforestation is increasing, and that is going to cause the cost of production of paper or paper related products to increase. Anything that will increase the cost of production will cause the aggregate supply curve in the short run to move towards the left or shift towards the left. Anything that can cause the cost of production to decrease will cause the aggregate supply curve to shift towards the left. And why is the reason for that? There's only one simple causation. Whenever we have increase in cost, let's just say we have increase in cost, whenever there's an increase in cost, there will always be an increase in, there will always be a decrease in real wages. So we are going to assume that individuals' wage in the short run are not changing a lot. So if the cost of production increases in the short run, individuals will have less money to spend, and that will reduce the amount of total theoretical output they can buy. So if the cost increases, the real wages decreases, and as a result they can buy less stuff, so less purchasing power. And when people have less purchasing power, therefore we will have a smaller short run supply curve. When it comes to the long run, in the classical system, just keep in mind that anything that can improve the quality of factors of production, anything that can improve the quantity, in other words of looking at it is, let's think about factors of production: land, labor, enterprise, and capital. Anything that can make it more effective, any factor that can make them more effective, or any factor that can make them more efficient, will increase the supply curve towards the right, and any factor that can cause them to decrease in quantity or decrease in quality will cause the supply curve to shift towards the left. Why is that? Because in the long run, the classical model assumes that the long run supply curve is horizontal or is vertical, is because this represents the theoretical output, the theoretical output. Theoretical output in the sense, what's going to happen if we apply every single factor we got it at its full capacity? What's going to happen? That is what is represented by the long run aggregate supply curve. So anything that can cause the quantity or the quality to increase or decrease is going to directly affect the supply curve in the long run for the classical system. Labor productivity, quantity of labor, capital utilization, which means how much machinery we are utilizing, we are using, modification of capital, you have new technology or new production techniques, long run investment, infrastructure. All of these are causes that can cause the supply curve to shift towards the right or the left. When it comes to the Keynesian model, Keynesians do not disagree with what the classical notion of shifters or factors are, but they only have one main distinction. They say that in the short run, which is this point over here, The aggregate supply curve can be changed if we change an aggregate demand. So if this is an aggregate demand, we can change the output level if we can increase the aggregate demand in the short run, which we have gone through in detail in the previous video, so make sure you can watch those. And in the long run, they have the same notion as the classical. Any increase in quantity or quality will cause a shift in the supply curve. To summarize it again, just keep in mind, in the short run, supply side shocks such as anything that can cause increase in cost of production will cause the supply curve to shift towards the left. Anything that can cause it to decrease will cause the supply curve to shift towards the right. In the long run, anything that can increase the quantity or the quality of factors of production will cause the supply curve to shift towards the right. Anything that can decrease or will decrease the quantity or the effectiveness or the efficiency of the supply curve or the factors of production will cause the supply curve to shift.